This is Mrs. Hawken. We are at home with Mrs. Hawken here. We're going to do a little bit of art with you today. Before we do it, I want to explain just a little bit about some of the pieces that you saw previously to this. Amate bark paper is something they've been doing for hundreds of years in Mexico, just like the slide said. And it's a fine tradition that they still do today. The papers, some of them are colored, and they send them all over Mexico, and they cut them up and they hang them as decorative pieces for festivals and for carnivals. They also paint on them, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna paint on our amate bark paper. We obviously can't go out and start scraping the bark off of trees. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a brown paper bag. And if you don't have one, next time someone goes to the store, have them bring home their groceries in a brown paper bag. And then if you need to, you can quarantine it in the garage for a couple days, because it should be fine after 48 hours. And then when you get it home, this right now still looks like a brown paper bag. It's pretty uncreative. So what we're going to do first is called deckling the edges, D-E-C-K-L-E, deckle. And that's just a fancy way of saying that the edges have a bumpy edge. They're not smooth and perfectly straight like this, because a homemade paper tends to do that. Okay, so we're ready to put our picture on here. Traditionally, the Mexican paintings that are on amate bark paper are beautiful, bright colored birds, flowers, but you know what? You can use whatever animal you would like and whatever kind of decorative leaves you would like. What I'm holding right here is one of my how to draw books. This is by Doug Dubosc. And the reason I'm showing you this is because you're not in the art room, so you don't have those how to draw pictures that I usually provide. But you can look up some of the authors like this, and you can also Google how to draw. For example, if you want to do a sloth, how to draw a sloth. And you can Google those how-to directions and find those instructions online as well. Okay, so what I'm going to work on today is a toucan, because those are really decorative and bright birds, and I'm going to show you a real basic way to make one using like ovals and rectangles and triangles. So you can either come up with your own animal, or you can use my animal. Now I apologize, I know that pencil on here is kind of hard to see, but I do need to do it in pencil first, or you can do it in chalk first if it's easier for you to see. But when I start my toucan, I'm going to make a large oval, go from about here to here, because I want my animal to take up most of my page. I don't want to have a lot of background. So I'm going to draw this large oval. Okay, and this is going to be part of his belly and his face. So it's right about here. Then I'm going to draw another oval around the outside of it. And this is the bottom of the other oval, and I'm going to make the bottom of this oval go much, much lower. It will go quite a bit lower, because that will be the rest of the toucan's body. Okay? Then I'm going to put the beak. I'm going to start where these two ovals touch, and I'm going to come down, okay, and then back to the edge of the oval, and then this part is going to disappear, okay? And now my beak is what I'm creating, because a toucan has a really big bill. It comes out and then it slopes downward, kind of a banana shape. And then I'm going to draw this line back to the bottom. Okay, now because there's a top and a bottom to his beak, I'm going to create that separation right there. Okay, now I'm going to give him an eye. I'm going to draw a smaller circle, and I'm gonna put the little banana shape in there. That's gonna be for my highlight on my eye. And then I'm gonna draw a larger circle around it, okay? Now, I have the beak, the eye, the body. Now I'm gonna come down and give him some toes. 1, 2, right here. 1, 2, right here. They have fairly substantial feet and claws, and we're going to put him on a branch. And there's the bottom of the branch, and we'll have it go right off the edge of the page. Here's his body. Now his tail, this is going to go right off the page, right all the way down to the bottom. If I want to, I can add some other lines for details. Okay, let me go over this with Sharpie. Can breathe. Because I have a little bit of the background showing, now I can have some fun with, because this would be a tropical picture, maybe some fun shaped leaves. You really don't have to be too worried about what shape, maybe just a big heart shape like this with a vine that goes right off the edge. Because if he's in a tree, the leaves are going to be so close up and so large that they will overlap. This is the part where you get to have fun and add the colors. Now with chalk, chalk is a lot of fun because it smears. Oil pastel will smudge around as well. One thing you might want to do that I forgot to mention, sorry, is a tissue is really helpful, because I don't care if I get a little on my hands, but it can get kind of messy. So let's do this part of his face white. And I'm not worried about coloring it in perfectly dark, because that's what my finger is going to help me do, is fill it in. In fact, I can just lay the chalk right on its side and color in a large portion of that area and give it a little smudge. And chalk, by the way, the erase is super easy. So if you accidentally go over a line and it bothers you, then just erase it. No worries. The beak is super important on a toucan because they have this beautiful rainbow that they use, or that they have on their beak. So let's start with a little yellow, and then next on the color wheel would be orange. So I'm going to do a little orange, and I want to be sure to overlap the yellow just a little bit, and I can rub it like that to smooth it out. After orange on the color wheel, we would see red. Red is next. And I'm overlapping that onto my orange just a tad. And then what comes after red, folks? Who knows? Who knows? Anyone? Anyone? Let's do purple next. Purple. Beautiful, beautiful purple. And then we need some blue. Sorry, I'm reaching over you here. Should have planned that better. And then some beautiful blue. And I think I'll take that blue all the way down to the point of his beak. And there. Now, if you want that line to show up a little more, you can go back over it again, like that. So you get the idea. Now that I've shown you some, I'm going to fast forward and color my picture. Okay, when you feel like your picture is finished and completed, just take a look at it. I'm sure on here there's a few things, if I stop and look, that I might want to touch up just a little. I might want to fill in some general areas here just to make it all look nice and tidy. Before we end class today, I want to show you one extension project or something you can do on your own if you have these supplies. It's a fun thing to try. If you happen to have the chalk and you have some apple cider vinegar and just some water, there's a fun thing that you can do, and it only works with chalk, and I find it works best with Crayola chalks. If you have them, if you don't have them, that's okay. You take some water, and then you take, for every cup of water, you take about a tablespoon, and this is a couple of cups, so I'm gonna put 2 tablespoons. If you get a little more, it's not a big deal, but that vinegar, what that does is it mixes in there, and then what happens is now I am going to dip my chalk into this, and you gotta let the water soak in for a minute. And when you do this, when you color on your paper, it will color on it almost like paint. And then it's gonna be a little dark at first, but as it dries, it will lighten up. And the reason that this is a fun thing to do is because even though chalk is beautiful, it's very dusty. And what happens is when you dip this chalk in the water and the vinegar, it will keep it from coming off your paper and being dusty and going all over. So, and another thing is it makes it easier to blend. So I can take, like if I'm blending from orange to red, because those 2 colors are next to each other on the color wheel, I'm gonna overlap my orange on the red just a little bit. Okay, and again, right now it's pretty dark, but what's gonna happen is as this dries, it's gonna lighten right up. I can then go to the next color that I wanna blend, and yellow blends very nicely with orange because it's next on the coloring wheel. And so if you would like to try to color your animal using the water and vinegar method, go ahead. It's a lot of fun. I think you'll enjoy it. Or you could just use this for messing around, making some flowers or any other kind of thing. So here's our finished piece. Here's our toucan that we worked on together. So once you're finished with it, of course you're gonna wanna display it. Make sure that you get some, I don't know, I display my things on the branch. We have a branch in the background, but some people like to put them up on the window. If you do put them on the wall, make sure you use a painter tape, which means that it's not as sticky and it won't pull the paint off the wall. All right? So anyways, until next time, I'll see you in about a week on At Home with Mrs. Hockin. Have fun.